Hey class, it's Gabe, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why I think preaching is so important. But before I get into that, I want to read this verse to you guys. The verse is 2 Timothy 4, verse 2, and it says, "Preach the word, be ready in season and out of season. Reprove, rebuke, and exhort with complete patience and teaching." So in this verse, we have Paul talking to Timothy, and he's telling Timothy to constantly be ready to always preach the gospel to whoever might be in need of hearing it, and to always be at the ready to do the work of a minister. For me, I was 17 years old when I first started to understand the significance of preaching, because it was around the time when I decided to start seeking God on my own. I had been raised in a Christian home, but I never really had my own personal relationship and walk with God until I was 17. And so I knew I wanted to see God. I knew I wanted to know what it was all about. I definitely was not a reader at the time. And so I did the one thing that I thought to do, and that was to listen to preachers and listen to pastors. So I would sit in my room and I would be playing video games and just doing my thing. And I would turn YouTube on and I would start listening to pastors and listening to sermons as I would just hang out and have my leisure time. And that's when I decided I really fell in love with preaching was really from day one of my journey with the Lord. As I consider the prompt of why preaching is so important, I came up with 3 reasons why I personally think that preaching is necessary in the church world and also plays huge parts in things like evangelism and apologetics and all areas of ministry. Preaching is important. And the first reason I came up with was encouragement. And I began to think, you never know within a congregation like what some people are going through. And a lot of the times people can come to church on a Sunday morning and their life is just full of problems, or they're grieving, or they have some sort of financial situation. They just don't know how they're going to get out of it. So they come to church looking for hope, and they come to listen to the pastor. And so the pastor giving encouragement is a huge reason why preaching is so important. The second reason I came up with was teaching. And I think it is the job of a pastor and somebody in ministry to make sure that their people have good theology and believe the right things about God. And so I think teaching from the pulpit is very important, because as of right now, in this day and age, we're at an all-time low for biblical literacy. And so people are not as in the word as maybe they used to be in past generations. So a pastor stepping into that place, knowing that, saying, I'm going to teach the right things about God to make sure my people really know the right things about him and come to know him more, is super important. And the third reason was the proclamation of the gospel. I think one of the most powerful things in any Sunday morning is an altar call, and just proclaiming again the body and blood of Jesus and what he did on the cross. And when the gospel is proclaimed from the pulpit, there's really 2 purposes it serves, or people groups that it's reaching out to. And number one, there's the people that know and believe, because they just need a reminder for it. We all constantly need a reminder of Jesus and what he did for us. And then on the flip side of that, especially in churches that strive to be seeker friendly, there are a lot of the times when people who don't know God come to church, and it would be a sad thing for somebody who doesn't know God to come to church and not hear the gospel at all. So those are my 3 reasons why I think preaching is super important. And yeah,